Are you working with a team, but you find that messages or updates get missed? Or do you waste time scrolling through loads and loads of emails or messages trying to find a specific bit of information? Well, don't worry, today I'm going to share with you how I work with my team of property managers and virtual assistants so that you can implement them in your own real estate business. Hi and welcome, my name is Andy, I'm a real estate investor and coach. I'm here to help you systemise your real estate business so that you can focus on what's most important to you. Today, I'm going to break down the 4 different tools that I use to communicate with my team, such as Slack, Asana, and Notion. And by implementing these tips, you'll be able to save loads of time, go and become more effective and efficient, and it'll make a real improvement in your business. Timestamps for each section are down below in the description, so do feel free to use those if you want to jump to a specific part. And what tools are you currently using in your real estate business? I'd love to hear, so do let me know in the comments below. But other than that, let's get going. So the first tool on my list today is Slack. And we use Slack amongst all of the team. It's free. You can go back in time to go and see the history of your messages up to a certain point. And Slack for us, all about general team communication. So it may be a little bit of a nudge just to say that there's a meeting coming up. It may be around logistics, so communicating to try and agree a certain time for a meeting. We may want to draw someone's attention to something in general, like my executive assistant goes and lets me know when she's dropped a document into one of our SharePoint sites, etc. And as you can see, I've got various channels set up. So some of them are just between myself and one other person. Sometimes there's a group of us, for example, in the general channel, but set up channels that work for yourself in different areas. And it's also great because we can easily share, for example, screenshots or other queries, but it's all about general communication rather than anything that's associated with a project or a task or a specific set of information that we would keep in one of our other tools. So first up is Slack. The second thing is we use Asana for our property business to manage all of our tasks. So no matter what it is, whether it's going and sourcing properties, whether it's communicating with other team members, we always use Asana to send tasks to each other. In fact, I've actually got a whole playlist on how we use Asana in our real estate business, so do check it out using the link above or in the description below. And I'm very strict in terms of keeping communication about tasks in the task itself. And this is for a couple of reasons. Firstly, is it separates everything out. So if you want to look at the history of a task, you can go back through and see what was agreed, what was discussed, where there's some decisions made, and it's all self-contained within that task. I find that if it was sort of in Slack or if it was an email, everything sort of just gets merged together and it can become in a long list, and it's really time consuming to try and go back through to see where those certain decisions or discussions happened. Whereas in Asana, it's really easy, as you can see here, just to add a comment, go and tag each other in to go and notify each other, and then it's all kept in one place. Another really good reason for doing this is if you have people taking over. So if bit of work starts with one team member and then it shifts to a different team member, maybe it's a different type of work, or maybe it's one person leaves and another person comes in, you can see that history. So it's really good for openness, for communication, and for sort of that handover between different people within your team. So task-specific information stays in that relevant task in Asana. Next up is my favorite tool, which is Notion. We use Notion for all sorts of things, writing down meeting minutes. We use it for going and tracking our goals, our KPIs, our objectives and key results, our standard operating procedures, etc. And in fact, I've done a whole video on 5 ways that Notion can be used in your real estate business. So check out the link above or in the description below. And we use Notion to communicate around these types of information. So for example, if we need to give feedback on a document, like a standard operating procedure, we can then go and add a comment. If we need to go and tag people in to meeting notes, we will go and do it there and then communicate in that document. So think of Notion as communication on information, whereas Asana is communication on tasks or things to do. Then lastly, we've got our emails. Now, I'm very strict with the team that I do not want any communication internally with email. I find that it's difficult to manage. Things easily get lost, and yeah, it's never got any context around it. You know, imagine getting a whole list of updates on different tasks in one email. Well, some of those may be closing out, some of them may be starting up. You've got different subject lines for different emails, and it just becomes a mess. So we purely use emails within our real estate business for external facing communications. So if we're discussing things with our solicitors, our accountants, investors, we will use email, but that's it. We try and keep our email communications to a minimum. Lastly, of course, we have got phone calls, we have got WhatsApps, but we actually rarely need to use those, especially with my remote virtual assistant team. WhatsApps are when it's an emergency and we need to get hold of somebody straight away. So if, for example, I'm going away next week on holiday, so if they desperately need to get hold of me, then they can send me a WhatsApp. But generally that's a last resort. Same with phone calls. We rarely need to phone each other, and we find that each of the tools that I've outlined in this video today work well enough. I hope you found that video useful. If you have, please do give it a thumbs up. It really helps for the YouTube algorithm. And if you'd like to know more, then check out this playlist here, which is all about how to use Notion in your real estate business, and there's loads more free content there for you. But other than that, thank you so much for joining me today. Have a brilliant rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See ya.